can't erase the past, undo things already done. But it's important to understand our past missteps to try to move beyond them. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We can't stagnate and stew in the past. Sometimes we need to seek forgiveness, but we also need to forgive ourselves, acknowledge when we haven't been perfect, and build on it. It's about nurturing our spirits, evolving, moving forward. Second chances are vital. Likewise, it's important for us to give others second chances. Let those around us better themselves. Offer grace. Here's what Dr. Glenn Doyle, psychologist and psychotherapist, has to say. We very much don't want to be like the people in our lives who refuse to take responsibility for their role in our pain. But beating yourself up isn't taking responsibility. Calling yourselves names isn't taking responsibility. Oversimplifying the narrative of how you got to where you are isn't taking responsibility. However we relate to what's come before, real taking responsibility is taking responsibility for what comes next. That's literally all we can do. We can't go back and unmake old decisions. All we can do is make the next decision, the one right in front of us right now, as consciously and purposefully as we can. There are no do-overs, just do next. Now, please say with me the chalice lighting words found in the order of service. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden. My name is Tim, and I'm glad to be leading worship today with Bill Hackett for our special Fourth Sunday Making Meaning service, where together we make meaning of the strange, complex, joyful, challenging experience of being human. Today we look into the importance of second chances. We're not perfect, we make mistakes, big and small. The important thing is to learn from them, try again. Second chances are vital in life, recognizing where we may have fallen short and trying to make amends, move forward, grow, be better. This is our Making Meaning service where we seek your input. Have you tried to move beyond past missteps to be a better person? How did you do it? Why was it important? Are second chances important? Are they always possible? Think about that a little bit. We're so glad you're here today in this community that strives to be loving, inclusive, and compassionate. One way to connect with this community is to let us know you're here. If you're a newcomer, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us. We encourage you to fill out a newcomer card in the pews and put it in the offering basket when it comes by later. And please stay and chat with us after the service. If you're joining us online, please fill out the newcomer card online. And if you've been a longtime member of the congregation, we encourage you to wear your name tag. This helps everyone feel more connected and helps our newcomers get to know you more easily. We love having people of all ages in the community, and as you came in, we hope you saw the basket of activities for hands that like to stay busy. This is for all of you of any age. We welcome all the wiggles and sounds of a multi-generational community. And if you haven't already, please put your phones on silent. We're so glad every one of you is here today. Welcome.
Morning, everybody. I got big news. Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow. Well, Groundhog Day is old news. Old news. And Phil, the corpulent rodent, once again predicted 6 more weeks of winter. To this, we Utahns may ask, what winter? But never mind. I don't want to talk about the weather, but about some lessons from a 30-some years old movie, Groundhog Day. It starred Bill Murray and Andy McDowell. And just because I'm curious, how many here have seen it? Excellent. Excellent. But for those who haven't, here's the gist. Bill Murray's character is a self-centered lout named Phil Collins. He's stuck in a surreal time loop in which he endlessly relives Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where he had been assigned to cover the event for a local TV news station. He's a news anchor, a local news anchor. He is hot after his broadcasting associate Rita, played by Andy McDowell. Each morning of Groundhog Day, Phil is awakened at 6 a.m. by his radio alarm clock, followed at first by sarcasm, selfishness, and other offensive behaviors that alienate everyone around him, including the object of his desire, Rita. Phil is a very slow learner. When I first saw this movie, I nearly walked away from it about 1/3 of the way through, seeking to find a more enjoyable pastime like root canal or colonoscopy. But eventually, like Phil, I got the message. And I watched the movie several more times since. After hundreds, perhaps thousands of days of denial and failure, Phil slowly changed his ways by pursuing self-improvement, kindness, respect, and service to others. Eventually, he began to deeply value his relationships with others. It took a long time, but eventually he won the girl and many new friends by completely changing his character and his outlook in a lengthy, repetitive process of trial and error. Henry David Thoreau has captured this perfectly in a simple expression. To increase the quality of the day, that is the highest of arts. The trick is, to increase the quality of the day, we have to increase the quality of ourselves. But what is quality? We all get to decide that for ourselves. Toward the end, the Groundhog Day movie made me weep. Phil's fictional time loop is an analogy for real life, because every day is a new day. The profound message of Phil's replay scenario is that we all have many opportunities to change and grow during our 30,000 days above ground. This seems obvious to say, but I hadn't really thought about it much at the time. I say opportunities, knowing from my own life experience that not every opportunity was seized by me through choice or circumstance, and many were seized after several failed attempts. So each new day is Groundhog Day, isn't it? Or could be, if we choose to set out on a fresh start. Another angle on this is that, unlike Phil Collins, we know we're mortal, and we don't get unlimited do-overs. Eventually, time is no longer on our side. But suppose it was. Suppose we were immortal. The Argentinian author Jorge Luis Borges explores the possible implications in his probing short story, El Inmortal. In it, the narrator describes a race of troglodytes whose dull, mindless existence is the result of their immortality. They've seen everything, done everything, have nothing more to learn, nothing to care about, nothing to live for. Very sad. Meanwhile, we tread the path of our lives, and most of us cherish our relationships with family and friends and hope for second chances when we disappoint those we love and respect. I'm grateful to be mortal, grateful to have some do-overs, grateful to have shared my life with other souls, with you. At times we're awake, at times we're just sleepwalking, but always aware, as the saying goes, that time is the only truly scarce commodity. May it be so. Blessed be.
So this hymn is a little bit different because it has a narration and then a response from the choir and congregation. So I'll play the tune through once so you can hear how it goes, and then Tim will be giving the narration, and you and the choir are invited to join for the response.
And it's number 1037, in the blue. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for the selfishness which sets us apart and alone.
Forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
Forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Sometimes I remember things I've done in the past and cringe. Not life or death things, that's a different category. I'm talking more about minor things in the scheme of things, slights against others, missteps that offended people, things done or said deliberately or unconsciously that, in retrospect, were off the mark. I don't really feel like speaking them aloud here. I still feel some embarrassment. And I still think of them from time to time, kind of shake my head, wonder what's wrong with me. The thing is, I can't undo them. Some happened years ago. I have no contact with others involved. The only thing I feel I can do at this point is to recognize shortcomings, learn from them, hope for grace and understanding, be willing to cut others slack when they fall short, be better. One thing, though, it's important to learn how to say, I'm sorry. That may fall short for the most egregious sorts of missteps, but many times that's an important start. It's also important to recognize apologies, be open to them. A few other thoughts. This is from Danya Rutenberg, a rabbi and author of On Repentance and Repair. We are each, in 1,000 different ways, both harm doer and victim. Sometimes we are hurt, sometimes we hurt others, whether intentionally or not. The path of repentance is one that can help us not only to repair what we have broken to the full extent possible, but to grow in the process of doing so. Grace, the hard-to-define notion that to me encompasses empathy to yourself and others, fits in this discussion. The spiritual life is about both getting and giving grace. Here's what Jim Palmer, director of the Center for Non-Religious Spirituality, has to say. What makes grace particularly difficult to swallow is that it is not based on a system of merit. It basically says, regardless of what you might feel disqualifies you from the acceptance, favor, faith, and goodwill of grace, there is something deeper still that always makes you a worthy recipient of it. Finally, this is from Grace Wins in the End. It's an article by Chance Hunter in UU World, which is a Unitarian Universalist publication. There's no amount of good deeds we can do, and there's no magic prayer we can pray that will guarantee we receive grace. We receive grace not because we deserve it, but because the universe is fundamentally a generous place. Grace, he goes on, is something we both receive and give. He contrasts it with the notion of karma, that we are alternatively rewarded and punished for the good and bad things we do. Now, I believe that karma has its place, he writes. We need to always be aware of the consequences of our actions, being especially mindful of that most insidious form of consequences, unintended consequences. But we've all heard enough people in our lives that if karma is all there is, we're all really in for it. If all we get is karma, everyone loses. It will be an eye for an eye until the whole world goes blind, as Gandhi puts it. Which is why we should all be rooting for grace. So here's where you guys get to chime in so we can all learn from one another if you're willing to speak. Have you been given second chances, taken second chances, tried to redeem yourself after missteps? Without second chances, grace, forgiveness, where would we be? Have you given second chances? Is it hard? Is it necessary to do? We're not asking you to relive past wounds, but what can you offer on the subject? So as you're willing, please come forward. If you're willing, got something to say, come forward. Tough subject. Thank you, Brent. Come on up.
Seeing as how nobody else jumped up immediately, I thought, I've been around the sun 82 times now, and I think there are some things in my life that I probably will never get right. And I think I'm realizing that's just fine. That's the way it is.
Well, there are plenty of examples that I could give, but a very early one for me, early in life, was when I was a high school football player. And we were in a tight game. I played tight end on the offensive line was as much of a blocking position as it was a pass receiver. And I wasn't having a particularly good game. I had made some mistakes earlier in the game. I dropped a pass. I ran a wrong pattern by turning the wrong way, and the ball went over my opposite shoulder. Fortunately, no interception occurred. But later in the game, we were on the goal line, and we had a chance to tie the game. And the coach called a timeout. And we came to the sideline. He talked to the quarterback, talked to the team, and the coach called the play for us during the timeout. And he said, we're going to run quickie pass to the tight end. So what that meant was I had to run basically straight ahead 5 yards, turn around in the end zone, and catch the ball. So I did that. And we scored a touchdown. Afterwards, I realized what the coach had done. He had given me a chance to rebuild my confidence on the field. And after that, all went well.
A couple of times every week I have the opportunity to go to the senior center in Clearfield and play pinochle with some people who in most cases are older than I am, and that's pretty old. There was one fellow who he was pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. He was in a wheelchair. He had bad body BO, and everybody noticed it. And he had a hearing aid which he would forget to wear. And then when he did that, he was always asking what was said, what was played, what was done. And it frustrated me, and I was angry that we had to have him there. But I decided one day we need to really try and figure out how to include him without offending him, because he's a pretty nice guy when you get to know him. I suggested, and so did others, remember your hearing aid, Paul, so that you can hear us talking. And he did. And one lady told the driver that drives him there, because he stays in a care facility, told him, see if you can talk to the people there about his body odor and get him to take baths. And anyway, I decided I was going to make friends with him. And as time went by, we became really good friends. And he would always sit by me. He always wanted to play opposites so that we were partners. And I thought to myself, this is a good feeling. I've made a friend when I thought I had someone that I didn't care for. And I did it because I thought that was the right thing to do. And I think we all have opportunities like that. When we have a problem with somebody, we need to say to ourselves, we want to try and befriend this individual so that, we have a good relationship with people that we come in contact with. And it's made me feel like I need to do more, and I'm trying to do more to get people to be friends. So, anyway.
So I consider myself a recovering perfectionist. And if there's anybody who relates to that label, you can understand sometimes how painful it is for someone like me when I make mistakes, when I do the wrong thing, if I hurt other people. And it's very, very hard to live with. And I've been really tough on myself over the years. And I've worked really hard to even get to the point that I could say I'm a recovering perfectionist. And in my younger days, I would wonder, well, why do we need to why do I keep making these mistakes, and why can't just I not do those things? And I had a counselor once who said, okay, so Danette, basically what you're trying to do is just skip the whole human experience. And I said, yeah, I guess that's right. I am trying to do that. So it's taking me a long time. I feel like I'm in a much better place. And I joke about being a recovering perfectionist, but it's been much better for me in my life. And after these many decades of my life, I can now look back and I can say, I am a much more compassionate person because of the mistakes that I've made. I think I've always been much faster to forgive other people for their mistakes than I have been to be able to forgive myself. But as I look at what has been good for me for the mistakes, even though I thought life is supposed to be all about being perfect and being good and not making mistakes, that if I hadn't made the mistakes that I did, I think I'd be really intolerable to live with, because I wouldn't be able to understand other people. I mean, we're all just human, right? And if I didn't make my own mistakes and I didn't realize that, then how could I ever relate to anybody else? And so I feel that after all these decades, I've finally gotten a little bit of wisdom in this area by being able to see my mistakes more as blessings. And actually, I don't think that's quite the right word, but I don't know what the right word is, but I think that you understand what I'm saying. Because I would hear other people who would say, hey, I've made these mistakes through my life, but I like where I am now, and that's just part of me. And I would listen to people say that, and I understood what they were saying, but I could not relate. It's like, I don't think I could ever feel that way. But I am understanding that now, that I like where I am today, and so those mistakes are all part and parcel of it. And so I have a new attitude about that.
Goth in my 40s. Morning. So shout out to Mr. Wimes, AP English teacher, Poway High School, Poway, California. That man who had a rock a silk shirt. He had a whole closet full of them, super colorful. But one of the wisest things I ever learned was from him. And he said, wisdom comes from experience, and experience comes from making mistakes. I don't know if that's a Wimes original, if he's quoting somebody else, but I like to think in my 49 years that I've gained some considerable amount of wisdom. Usually from me stepping in it or sticking my foot in my mouth, as I'm wont to do. But it's been that outlook that I learned as a teenager really helped soften the blow of, when you do something stupid and have to own up to it. And, hopefully learning from that and then becoming a better person. I like to joke with my students that there's something I like to call continuous improvement, even if it's just little by little. And so every mistake is an opportunity to learn and to practice grace with yourself, and hopefully develop that capacity to extend grace to others. One of my favorite science fiction authors is Robert A. Heinlein. And they have what's called the Heinlein's principle. It's also attributed to someone else called Hamlin. But never attribute to malice what can be explained by stupidity. And so if you feel like someone's offended you or hurt you, don't assume immediate malicious intent. They probably just didn't know what they were doing. I mean, I like to quote that whenever I stick my foot in my mouth. I'm like, I am the nicest person on the planet, I swear. I say stupid stuff, sorry. So, I think I'm funny, and sometimes I'm not. But yeah, but I've always been very grateful to Mr. Wimes and his wisdom. He's an amazing guy.
Morning, everyone. Sort of struck by listening to people talk, the role of memory, and sort of the asymmetry of memory in these moments that people are holding on to. I mean, Bill remembers the exact play call, 25 years later? Yeah. And right, thinking back to high school teachers and just moments where people gave us grace or moments where we didn't live up to our own personal standards for ourselves, and just how much those details stay with us and for so long, and how sometimes you impact someone and you don't even know that you said the right thing for them that day or the wrong thing. And just the way that all ripples on and on kind of struck me today. It was Bill remembering the play call that did it. Thanks.
So two sort of short bits of wisdom that I remember from older people that I admire. The first is a fairly famous guy who just recently died. I've mentioned before, Charlie Munger. And I was watching an interview that he did. It was more of a Q&A with the group. And someone sort of jokingly asked him, he said, "What's the secret to happiness?" He said, "Oh, that's easy. Don't expect very much from other people." It's not the secret necessarily to wealth or, winning a race or anything, but if you want to be happy, that's the number one thing you can do, is just don't expect very much from other people. And I think there's a real message in that of grace, that if you want to be happy in life, and if you want to enjoy the time you have here, expect more from yourself than you do from others, and learn to forgive other people and hope that they'll forgive you. And then the other is somebody I know personally much better. I've mentioned a few times, and that's my friend Ed Leaders, who just turned 103 last week. And about 7 years ago, I went down to a house he used to have, his son now has, in Torrey, Utah, with my brother and my dad. And he was 96 at the time. And we got in there, and we had to turn the pilot light on. And he showed me where it was. He said, "Actually, let me get it." I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yeah." So he got down, and he turned on the pilot light. And then he was laying there on the ground. I said, "You want me to help you up?" He said, No. I should do this." And he got on his hands and knees, and then he got on his feet, and then he stood up. And he looked at me and he said something. He said, "Something I've learned now that I'm very old," something I learned when I was very young that I've had to relearn now that I'm very old is this: balance takes practice.
Bless all of these stories. Thank you for sharing. A prayer by Reverend Katie Kandarian Morris. Here is the place to be forgiven. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of generosity, as we draw near to that quiet, essential side of ourselves, may we open enough to consider the sacred choices we make each minute, each hour, each day that add up to a lifetime. Let us become aware that here is the place to be forgiven and to forgive ourselves for any past thoughts and actions. Here is a place to begin again with love. As we are forgiven, let us open our hearts to forgive others, to pray for them well-being and joy, that they be lifted from worry and burden into peace and abundance. May we all be blessed with riches of the Spirit and moment upon moment of peace and serenity. Amen. We continue our collective prayer by coming forward to engage in our weekly ritual that helps us to collectively hold the challenges and joys of being human. As you light a candle, let it hold your hopes, memories, and gratitudes for this beautiful, complicated world and for our lives. And as you drop a stone in our sacred gathering waters, may it be an opportunity to imagine those burdens and quests for forgiveness held in a community that will let the stone land with care and intention. Please come forward. offering is a practice of gratitude for this community filled with care and courage, love and resistance. We commit to keeping this community resourced for the ministries ahead, both in our walls and beyond. The offering we collect each week supports us in being the community that can best respond to the needs of these times. As we collect our offering today, we remember our interconnectedness and interdependence, and we generously offer our care with hopes to support all through these times. And a couple of volunteers. Thank you. Please rise and body your voice, and facing the center aisle, sing together the offering song in the order of service.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Your abundant generosity is part of modeling care and love. Thank you. Our religious education program for children ages 5 to 10 is returning, and we're inviting members and friends to help shape this next chapter. We're gathering volunteers to serve in teaching pairs, with each pair leading class once per month, possibly less. If you're interested, please speak with Dylan, there in the back, or email him to learn more. And whether you're a trained vocalist or musician or simply interested in singing, all are invited to participate in the UUCO choir. Got 5 hearty members here. The choir sings on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Sundays of each month, and Joseph can provide more information. And the latest lineup for the book club, March 18th, Let Them, by Mel Robbins. April 15th, James, contemporary fiction by Percival L. Everett. And the February meeting, I believe, was canceled due to snow, so sounds like they'll be discussing February's book, Huckleberry Finn, as well. Yeah. Do you want to come on up? For our online people.
So the interesting thing about reading Huck Finn and James together, Huck Finn is a classic, right? James is the story of Huck Finn from the viewpoint of Jim, the enslaved gentleman who accompanied Huck. He and he had these adventures together. So the interesting thing is going to be able to compare what the classic was with this reimagined from James' point of view.
Thanks for that elaboration. And every Monday through March 2nd, visit, which is coming pretty quick, visit the Capitol to take part in Great Salt Lake Lobby Days. It goes from 9 a.m. to noon in the Siegel Room in the East Senate Building at the Utah Capitol Complex. Join folks from Grow the Flow, Stewardship Utah, Sierra Club, Center for Biological Diversity, and Save Our Great Salt Lake in this educational and effective endeavor. Take part in a new monthly Unitarian Universalist Association get-together online to ground in love, build resilience, and take action for justice together. It's called The Gathering, and it starts Monday, March 10th at 6 p.m. and again, it's on Zoom. Another monthly Zoom meeting, Full Moon Gatherings. It's set to start March 1st at 6 p.m., and that'll be held on the Sunday evening closest to each full moon. There'll be reading, reflection, contemplation, and sharing. And I'm guessing that's also UUA, not sure. But more details on these are in the emailed UUCO newsletter. And now please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 303, We Are the Earth. As the service comes to an end, join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. Remember, we've all done things we wish we hadn't, but we don't have to be defined by them, paralyzed by them, forever haunted by regret. Don't forget, but be open to grace, be willing to offer it to others. Have a good week, and join us over there after the service. Thank you.
And our sending music for today is a change from what you have in your printed order of service. It will be in the gray hymnal, number 414, As We Leave This Friendly Place. Again, that's 414 in the gray hymnal, and we'll sing it through twice.